Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought it would be really fun to do a tier ranking for all of the Colleen Hoover books that I have read. So I know that Colleen Hoover is just one of those authors, either you love her or you hate her. I am right in the middle. I don't think her writing is the best writing I've ever read, but I will say anytime I'm in a slump, I can pick up one of her books. They're so easy to read. The plots are usually pretty good, and therefore I just read it in a day and I can move on. But this video is just for fun, and these are all of my opinions, so no hard feelings for any of these books. And without further ado, I'm going to quit rambling and we're going to get right into ranking all of her books. Alright, so we have 6 tiers in total. The first tier is my fave. This one is pretty self-explanatory. These are the books that I give 5 out of 5 stars, my all-time favorites. I will definitely recommend them. I loved everything about them. The second tier you have is loved but not 5 stars. Again, I am pretty stingy with my 5 stars. I don't hand them out that much. In order for me to give a book 5 stars, it really needs to do something to me. While I love most books, I don't always give them 5 stars, so that is going to be loved but not 5 stars. The next tier I have is good but not memorable. There are quite a few books where I will read them and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. I loved it in the moment. And then back in like a year and I'm like, what was that book even about? So that is good but not memorable. The fourth tier is going to be, I don't know, 50-50. Because there are some books that I'm like, okay, I like it. I liked it. And then I'll look back and I'm like, did I like it? Like, I don't know, there was some things about it that I hated, but there were some things that I was like, oh, okay, I understand. So I figured I would put an, I don't know, 50-50, because some of her books I literally just, I don't know. The next tier I have is TBR, which is to be read. While I've read most of her books, there are quite a few that I still haven't read, so I figured I would add that in here. And last but not least, we have will probably never read. Colleen Hoover does have quite a few books, and she has a few books that she made years and years ago, and they're sequels or novellas or whatever it may be. There are probably quite a few that I will probably just never read. I only have such a short amount of time to read. I rather read good books that I genuinely really want to read, so that is why I included that last year. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and start. We are going to start off with my will probably never read. So starting off with that tier, I am going to put the whole Slammed series. I know nothing about that, but I will probably just never read it. So you have Slam, Point of Retreat, and you have This Girl. Again, like I said, I know nothing about it, and I will therefore probably just never read it. Another book that I'm going to put in the will probably never read category is going to be Never Never. I never heard of this book until like 10 minutes ago when I was doing this and setting this up. Again, I will probably never read. There are so many other books that I rather read, so I'm probably never going to read Never Never. I'm also going to add to that list One More Step and 2 More Days. It looks like these books go together. I literally know nothing about it, and I don't really want to know anything about it. I don't want to find out what it's about. So I'm going to add those to my will probably never read. I think that is probably all the books that are going to fit in that tier under will probably never read. We'll find out. The next tier I'm going to go into is TBR. So in TBR, I am putting Hopeless. I've heard really good things about Hopeless. I've been wanting to read it for a while. I actually just rented it at the public library, so I am going to be reading it really soon, and I am really excited. But for now, I haven't read it, so therefore I'm going to put it in my TBR. Alongside Hopeless, you do have Losing Hope, and since I haven't read Hopeless, I haven't read Losing Hope. My thing with sequels or like novellas or anything like that is if I like the first one, I'm obviously going to read like the sequel to it. But if I don't like it, I'm not going to waste my time. So for now, it is going to be in my TBR, and we'll see if I end up liking Hopeless. But from what I've heard, I have a feeling I'm going to like Hopeless quite a bit. Switch things around. I'm going to go to my top, which is my faves, and we're going to start off strong with Ugly Love. I love Ugly Love. It is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books, if not my favorite. This was also the first book by her that I ever read, so I think it just has a special place in my heart. This book follows Miles and Tate's, and they have a no strings attached friends with benefits, if you'd even classify them as friends. They're not really friends, so like a friends with benefits, no strings attached situation going on. And I don't know why it takes people so long to realize friends with benefits never works. Somebody's always going to catch feelings, and therefore you already know how this might end. So I know some people don't like Ugly Love. I don't really know why. Well, I mean, I know why. You probably just don't like Miles as a character. He's an onion with a lot of layers. Let's just put it that way. And he's got a dark past, and just so much shit has happened to him. But I like him. thing or not, but I like him. I loved Ugly Love. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. If anybody's ever like, oh, should I read it? I'm like, hell yeah, it is such a good book. I devoured this in one day. It was just absolutely great. I love this. So therefore, I give it a 5 out of 5. It is my favorite. Moving right alongside, we're keeping it strong with another one of my faves. It's gonna be Heartbones, and I never hear anybody talking about Heartbones. I love Heartbones. So with Heartbones, you have Bea and Samson, and let's just say they've gone through so much at such a young age. This book was so beautiful, yet so sad, but I loved it. Another one of her books that I read in one day. It had me laughing, it had me smiling, it also had me crying. I really recommend this book. Like I said, I never hear anybody talking about it, and I don't know why, because it is such a good, underrated book by Colleen Hoover. So it is another one of my 5-star reads. If you haven't read it and you do want to read it, it does kind of take place in the summer, so maybe you should wait until like the summertime rolls around, because it is such a good one to read. And then another one of my absolute faves is Confess. This is another one that is not talked about that much, or at least I don't hear people talking about it. I'm sure it is, because Colleen Hoover is like a really popular author, but Confess is one of my favorites by her. This one is so freaking good. I love it so much. I love how the actual confessions in the story are like real people's confessions in real life. I just think that that is absolutely genius, and I do love like the paintings and the artistic side of it as well. So I do love this book so much. This follows Auburn and Owen and their story. Obviously, Auburn has a life of her own and her own situations, and Owen has his situations, and they meet up and they start working together, and I love everything about this book. This book is also a show, and I watched like the first 2 episodes and I liked it. I just didn't finish it because you gotta pay for every episode, and I was like, yeah, no, I already know how it's gonna end. But this book was such a good book. It's definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. I absolutely loved it. Alright, now I'm going to switch it around a little, and I think I'm going to go down into good but not memorable. And for good but not memorable, I'm going to put Regretting You. I liked Regretting You. I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was really good, but I don't really remember much about it, except for the fact that it's about a mom and a daughter, and they're going through quite a bit. And I think the reason it's like not that memorable is because I started getting like a little, not annoyed, but I don't like the whole back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's exactly what was going on between the mom and the daughter. They had like their situation. So while it was good, I really don't remember that much from it. So therefore, I'm going to put it in good but not memorable. Joining Regretting You in good but not memorable is going to be Without Merit. Again, this was another one that I liked, but I don't remember that much about it. Like, I read it and I was like, oh yeah, that was good. You know, now I'm like, what was it even about? Like, so I put it there right next to Regretting You, Without Merit. Going down to, I don't know, 50-50 is Maybe Someday. At first when I read Maybe Someday, I was like, yeah, I like it. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know. And while I was reading it, I was like, I don't know. There were just some parts where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. And then I'm like, are you kidding me? You're literally kidding me. So this is definitely a book that's just 50-50, Maybe Someday. It was not my favorite. I don't recommend it. I wouldn't read it again. It has like a cheating trope in it, and I don't really like cheating tropes. I feel like when I go to read a book, I want to read something that's like, you know, fun and uplifting. I don't want to read something like that. And also, spoiler alert, I don't understand why the main character is kind of a homewrecker when it literally happened to her. I don't understand that. So that was one thing I didn't like about Maybe Someday, and that's why I'm putting it in my, I don't know, 50-50. Right alongside Maybe Someday, you obviously have Maybe Now and Maybe Not, and I'm going to put both of those in will probably never read. I actually started reading Maybe Now, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like Maybe Someday, so I'm not going to waste my time and read it just because there are so many other books that I'd rather read. All right, I'm going to go into the TBR category because there are quite a few other books that I haven't read by her, but I do want to read, and that is Layla. So I have heard quite a few mixed reviews about Layla. You either like it or you don't like it. I think in total it has like 4 out of 5 stars, and therefore it is very similar to Verity. So I liked Verity quite a bit, so I do have Layla in my Kindle. It is actually on Kindle Unlimited for free, so I do have it in my library. I just haven't read it yet, and I don't know when I'll read it, but I do have it in my TBR. Joining Layla in my TBR is going to be Too Late by Colleen Hoover. I haven't heard anything about Too Late. I don't know anything about it, but I do want to read it. I think it could be really interesting, so I'm gonna keep it in my TBR. The next book that we have is Reminders of Him, and that is obviously one of my favorites. It's a 5 out of 5. This is such a good book. This follows Kenna and Rowan, and Kenna has gone through so much in such a short amount of time. She's actually just gotten out of jail, and she's going into this small town, and she's looking for her daughter. And that's not really a spoiler, it's on the back. This book, it's so heartbreaking, but it is so beautiful. I was crying. You could mop my tears with this book. It was so good. And actually this book is free on Kindle Unlimited as well, so you can read it if you have the membership. But I really liked Reminders of Him. I read it quite a while ago. I might want to reread it within the next time, but this book was absolutely just 5 out of 5. Alright, now I think I'm gonna go into the tier that we have not touched, which is loved but not 5 stars, and I'm gonna put November 9th in there. So with November 9th, you have Fallon and Ben, and they meet right before Fallon is about to move to a whole new place. Then they decide to meet every November 9th, every single year. Obviously, as time goes on, their lives are changing, people are coming in and out of their lives, and you're just following that constant timeline. There's a lot of back and forth with this book, but one thing I did like about this book is that Miles and Tate from Ugly Love, they do make an appearance in this book, which I thought was really fun. I like it when authors do that, when they have like characters from one book and the other book. It gives you like a nice reminder of like other characters that you absolutely love. So that is November 9th. Obviously, you find out some insane things throughout the book. So that is that. I don't want to spoil anything on November 9th because when I was reading it, I hadn't seen any spoilers or anything like that, and I really did like this book. Alright, sticking with the loved but not 5 stars, I think I'm going to put All Your Perfects in there. So All Your Perfect was a really good book. I was torn between putting this in like good but not memorable, but I can't really do that because I remember a lot from this book, and I don't know if it was just because I was like irritated. But this book was just like a roller coaster for me. So with this book, you have Graham and Quinn, and you're following their relationship. It starts with them meeting 7 years, and then it's like present time, which is 7 years later, and they're married. And my oh my, they are going through it in their marriage. They have a lot of problems and a lot of hardships, and I guess it goes to show you that marriage isn't always like rainbows and butterflies. So that is what this book does. Now with this book, one thing that just completely destroyed me, and here's a spoiler, so again, I'm calling a spoiler. One thing that destroyed me was the line, "What's her fucking name, Graham?" If you know, by reading the back, they obviously meet when Quinn gets cheated on. That is literally how they met, and wow. Going back to like doing something that had done to you that you didn't like, so that was just one thing that like after I read that I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you serious right now? This book, it is a roller coaster. I will say it's more down than ups, but you get there, you push through it, and this is a really good one if you haven't read it. And then right alongside All Your Perfects, you actually have Finding Perfect, which I haven't read, but I picked it up at the library the other day, so I'm gonna add it to my TBR alongside Finding Cinderella. I'm pretty sure that is a novella, and I haven't read that one either. I don't know anything about it, but for now I'm gonna keep it in my TBR. The next book you have is Verity, and Verity is a loved but not 5 stars. Wow, this book, talk about a roller coaster. Actually, this is the book with the roller coaster.
I don't know what's going on.
You've got 3 characters. You have Lowen, you have Jeremy, and you have Verity. And these 3 characters are all insane in their own way. Like, I have never read about such a crazy mix of characters ever. And I really liked this about Colleen Hoover. I had never read anything like it. And this book was just so good. So this does follow Jeremy and Lowen and Verity is the author, and obviously something has happened to her. She can no longer write her books, so Jeremy goes out seeking another like kind of ghostwriter in a way, and he meets Lowen. Lowen decides to move into their house, and let's just say that is not a good plan. So whether you are team letter or team manuscript, you have to agree with me that Jeremy is just as crazy as Verity, if not crazier. I actually read the bonus chapter that Colleen Hoover put out, and it just, I couldn't even think about whether I was team letter or team manuscript. All I could think about was, holy crap, Jeremy might be the craziest one out of all of them, but he has a good way of hiding it. So this book is a roller coaster. It is really, really good. I will say I didn't really like the final chapter, the bonus chapter that she put out. It made me more confused. But it is really good. I liked it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. All right, and then last but not least, we have It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. So if you know, It Ends With Us is Colleen Hoover's most popular book. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. This book is so good, and it follows Lily, Atlas, and Ryle. I don't like Ryle, but that doesn't matter. Lily and Atlas are literally the perfect couple. Oh my goodness, they have a past. They've gone through so much individually and together. This book is a lot, and I do recommend that you check any trigger warnings for this book, but it is so freaking good. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Ryle is like complete trash, and I don't know why he's in it, but I love this book. Right after this book, you have the sequel, which is It Starts With Us. So It Starts With Us, I actually put it in... It's torn between my fave and loved but not 5 stars, because I didn't give it 5 stars, I gave it 4 stars. And the reason why, I love Atlas, and I love that we like took a deep dive into like his life and everything like that, and I wanted Atlas and Lily to be together, and I love that. I love that they got their happy ending. But I was a little bored while I was reading it. I don't know if it's just because I like overhyped this book before it even came out, but yeah, I don't have anything bad about it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It just didn't do anything for me because I really liked It Ends With Us. But it does kind of give you a deep dive into their happy ever after. It did take them a minute to get there, but they finally get there, and it is very well deserved. So that is it, guys. That is me ranking all of Colleen Hoover's books that I've read. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, these are all of my opinions, so no hard feelings, and this was for fun. But I had so much fun making this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.